good conversations on the thing. Anyway, what I was going to say is, now as an adult, you've children and married, right? Is she Ukrainian, your wife? So what is her take on all of that? I'm just curious. As an actual, well, is she American citizen now?
Yes.
Okay, but she was born in Ukraine, raised over there. So what's her take on all this with the Russia-Ukraine war?
Well, honestly, it breaks her heart because, you know, she's kind of in this situation where she's all the way over here, and all of her family are still there. Like, her parents are there. She has 2 brothers who are over there. And so every day we're watching the news and just trying to pay attention to it. We talk to her parents every day. But in her mind, it's, you know, Russians are the aggressors here. And, you know, if you look historically at Ukraine and Russia, Russia has always kind of treated Ukraine pretty bad.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just another one of those acts of escalation that this regime in Russia decided to take another part of another country by force.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I think internationally people are obviously opposed to the Russian invasion. But, you know, Ukraine, and I'm not going to speak out of turn because she would definitely know more than me, and you probably do too, I'm sure. You know, but if Ukraine has had its own set of problems with its government corruption. People are focused on it now as the white hat, the good guys. But, you know, there has been some corruption there too. However, I mean, too corrupt doesn't make one right one, you know?
Yeah.
So I still don't think that it's necessarily right. Because Ukraine was part of the USSR originally, I think, right?
Yeah,
and so then when
1991.
Yeah, then they got their independence, and now, of course, a lot of people think Putin's trying to go back to the glory of the USSR. So I don't know. Other people think that he's dying and got cancer, and this is like a last-ditch effort. I don't know. What's her take on it from people over there? Is it like, because of course all we see is the images that are on the news, you know, and it's usually going to be the worst case what they show, the video of the person talking, the little kid talking, and there's a rocket over their head and all this. Is her take from her family though? It's that dire, or are they still functioning their everyday lives in the city, or what's the deal?
Well, they're trying to function in their everyday lives, but she does have some family members who were in, you know, Russian occupied areas, and so they were there for a couple of months before the Russians let them leave, and they said it's actually worse than what you see on TV.
Oh, really?
In these villages and these outskirts areas, you know, winter's very harsh in Ukraine, and so the Russian soldiers are coming in and doing things like breaking windows and knocking down doors. So now that home is, you know, uninhabitable during the winter because you just can't survive there.
Sure.
And so there's lots of that happening. She had some family who had to move in with other family members just to, you know, have a place to stay, you know, just to get away from the...
What about like infrastructure and supply chains? Is that still working for them, or...
I guess it depends on the area. Like where my in-laws are, it's somewhat functional. You know, they are not in an area where it's like active combat or anything, but there are some complications with getting stuff, and they notice that prices are starting to go through the roof because it's hard to get stuff in and out. You know, just for, you know, if you want bread or milk or eggs or something, you know, the prices are just going through the roof because it's so hard to get the materials in there.
Have you visited Ukraine?
Yep.
Have y'all gone over there? Do you speak... Do they speak Russian? Is it correct?
They speak both. So they speak Ukrainian and Russian. So my wife, she actually speaks both. But funny story about that, you know, being married to someone who's a foreign speaker, when she's talking to her mom and stuff, I was learning Russian and started picking up more and more Russian, and then I'd be listening to her have a conversation, then I would just kind of chime in with my opinion on something. And once I started doing that, then she started switching to Ukrainian, which I know zero of. And so now she's like, oh, well, if you understand Russian, I'm just going to start speaking Ukrainian.
Well, is it not a Slavic language too?
They're similar. So the way she explained it to me is that if you speak Ukrainian, you can understand Russian, but Russians can't understand Ukrainian. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Portuguese is a base like Spanish. And so even though they're different, they can kind of understand each other and communicate. Or generally, it's what I understand. I speak a little Spanish, very, very little Portuguese, and that's only based on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So because in Brazil, they speak Portuguese. Anyway, but I know I have a friend, Gunner, who's in the Navy, was a student of mine forever. He's an officer in the Navy, and he's in intelligence. And he went to school to speak Russian, and that's what he does. He's fluent in Russian. And I wasn't aware that Ukrainian was different, though. That's odd.
Yeah, they even have a different alphabet. So, like, some of the characters in there, so Russian uses Cyrillic alphabet, and a couple of the characters are different in Ukrainian. So that's how, if you see the actual text written out, you can tell by certain characters if it's a Ukrainian thing or if it's Russian.
Are you fluent in Russian now?
I wouldn't say fluent. I'm probably conversationally fluent. Like I could carry on about the first couple of minutes of a conversation, and you know, I can talk to kids.
Can you say, "Give me some bourbon"?
Be a Daiti Minya bourbon.
Daiti Minya.
Daiti Minya.
Okay, I'm just going to let you say it. I barely speak English, much less try to speak some Ukrainian or Russian.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll get a text message going, you said that wrong.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Well, that's why I was kind of interested in having your wife on, because I was really interested in her perspective on the Ukrainian-Russian war. And plus, I've never met her. I've never met her. All I've seen is the Facebook posts, and she looks like a beautiful, wonderful, intelligent, warm lady. I've talked to you about her, and she's very complimentary. I guess I should say that Reid's mama is sitting over here in the corner.
She's making sure I act right. So.
She said she was going to be quiet, which I'm sure is very difficult, right? Yeah.